So I'm going to work through the pendulum homework problem, which is from the worksheet that I emailed to you today in class, or after class. And although the data that's given shows 2 cycles, we'll just focus on the first one. So in the first one, our minimum was at 0, 1.5549. And our max was at 1.2903, 4.6142. So what's really nice about this is that the minimum starts on the y-axis. So what kind of graph's minimum starts on the y-axis? A negative cosine. So this cosine graph is going to be real easy to write because there's not even going to be a phase shift. We'll get to that in a little bit. So the amplitude, we take our max, subtract our min, and divide by 2, and we'll get 1.52965. Then we know our vertical shift, or our midline, we find by either taking the minimum and adding the amplitude, or the maximum and subtracting the amplitude. So when we do that, we'll get 3.08455. And then for our period, we're looking at data, right? And so on our on this data that we're given, we can easily see we go from our min to our max. And we know if we go from our min to our max, a full cycle would then go back down to its minimum. But we only are given min to max, so we know that's half the cycle. So that distance on the x-axis from the min to the max is 1.2903. So if we multiply that by 2, we'll get the length of the full cycle, or our period, which is 2.5806. And then we know in our equation we need the b value, and so our b value would end up being 2 pi over 2.5806. Now all we got to do is write our cosine and our sine equation. So now that we have all that information, we can write our negative cosine equation. So we'd have y equals, and we know it's going to be negative cosine because we started at our min. So 1.5295, that's our amplitude, and we want it to be negative. Cosine 2 pi over 2.5806 is our b, and then x. There's no phase shift because, again, on the y-axis we have our minimum, and then our vertical shift is up 3.08455. Oops. Now, if we wanted to write this as a sine, we know a negative cosine starts at its min and ends at its min. So if I were to write it as a sine, a positive sine, I'm shifting it to my midpoint right there, my midline right there, which is 1/4 of the way through the cycle. So if we had to think about 1, 2, 3, this is 1/4, this is 1/4, this is 1/4, this is 1/4. So we see that to get to the midline, we shifted 1/4 of our way through the period. So to figure out how much it got shifted over for our sine, we know we would just add, we're thinking about 1/4 of the period to where we started. So we started at the x value 0. So our sine equation, and since we start at the midline and go to the max, it'll be a positive sign. So it'd be y equals positive 1.5295. Sine, our b doesn't change, x, and then we're moving to the right, so we'll do minus. And then we know a fourth of the period would be 0.64514. And then we'll have to do plus the vertical shift. So you've got your cosine equation, that's a negative cosine, or your sine. And I really apologize for the messy handwriting. There's just no way to draw this and write out very neatly with the stylus on the iPad.